The indie demos keep on coming as we hit day 6 of my favorite demos from Next Fest of February 2025. Our first demo is going to be for Liliac 0. This is a vertical shmup, where you're going to be shooting, dodging, and slashing your way through a myriad of enemies. You have 3 primary moves. You have your standard shot, you have this kind of lock-on kind of slash attack, and you have your dash. While you're dashing, you're immune to bullets, and it is the only way to deal with orange-coated enemies. The game features from the demo at least 2 different difficulty settings, which the higher difficulty throws more and more bullets and patterns at you. Love the music as well in this one. And from what we played, this is going to be a fairly challenging take on the genre. Now, we only got to see 1 level, so we couldn't get too much in terms of how crazy it's going to get. But if you are in the mood for some shmupping and slashing, then definitely give this one a play. We now go to Aethermancer. This is the next game from developer of Monster Sanctuary, and they are trading in the Metroidvania for some roguelite combat. In this one, you'll control a team of creatures that you are trying to use to explore and stop the mysterious void. Like with Monster Sanctuary, each creature is its own unique character, complete with different abilities, stats, weaknesses, and passive buffs they can unlock. Your job will be to field a party of up to 3 of them in order to deal with a variety of enemies. Now, there is a heavy emphasis on progression and persistence with meta unlocks, being able to unlock characters you can permanently choose or get permanent upgrades for kind of using the same characters that will carry over from run to run. The combat system here is built on using standard attacks to basically build up mana charges or different elemental charges, which are used to fuel different attacks. So you have to decide, you want to take a party of like all similar characters who their abilities can synergize with, or do you take a well-rounded party of different elements that you can use to easily break enemies' kind of stagger meter in order to do more damage on them. Each critter can also get a gear piece that you can equip on them, and there's a lot of variety and potential builds in this one, between the different creatures, different synergies, artifacts, and then what random passive perks and skills they'll get upon leveling up. I really enjoy this one. There looks to be a whole lot in terms of team composition and building. So if you are a fan of creature collecting and rogueliting, then this is an easy recommendation. We now switch over to Doloc. This is a kind of cozy, like farming slice of life style game. You play a young girl who's returned to her hometown after years. You kind of lost your memory along the way, but it is the post-apocalypse, and everyone's just trying to make do here and there. And so you are going to take over the farm, start building, farming, mining, crafting, and all that other good stuff. The game at the beginning is a bit on the slow side. You'll need to gather some of the basic resources in order to build permanent kind of farm plots that you can then use to start growing goods, getting money, to then buy more stuff, to get more goods, and you get the picture. I like the graphics and the art style in this one. It's a very charming game. Now, from our time of the demo, it's hard to tell how much bite, or if there is any bite, to this one. While we are exploring the post-apocalypse, I didn't really see anything in terms of like combat or any elements along those lines. This feels like it's going to be more on the like kind of cozy crafter side. The only issue I have with the game is I wish that you could move it just a little bit faster, as you're going to be going from kind of one end of the map to the other end of the map quite often in order to talk to people, buy goods, etc., etc. So if you are looking for a very relaxing and again more cozy style crafter, I would give this one a try. We move away from cozy for some ultra violence and tower defense form with Dungeon Warfare 3. This is the 3rd game in the series of very challenging and very elaborate tower defense design. As with the previous games, it is your job to defend your core from waves and waves and waves of enemies using the most brutal implements possible. A huge emphasis is on using the environment and the different variety of traps in order to kind of combo off of each other to quickly kill enemies. A new feature in this one is that you have this kind of overworld that lets you set up where levels are, and by placing different kind of land cards down, this affects the overall difficulty of the map, which will give you more experience, which more experience means more unlocks, more features, and so on and so forth. As with the previous games, this one looks like it is going to be on the challenging side, especially if you bump things up for as much rewards as possible. I enjoy the series, and it is an easier recommendation for me if you're looking for a more challenging take on tower defense. We go to something a little bit more hands-off with Knightica. This is an auto battler, where it's your job to set up your armies based on different factions, different types, and then watch them beat up or get beaten up by the enemies. After each battle, you'll of course be able to decide which units to add to your team. You can add duplicates to kind of boost up their level, and all that other good auto battler stuff. I love the aesthetic and art in this one. There's a very kind of like anime look and feel to it, which is something we don't often see from this particular genre. Now, with that said, it still runs into that same problem I have with a lot of auto battlers, that you win until you don't. And it can often feel like the way you lose is completely out of your control. Now in this one, because your army kind of runs automatically at the enemy, it means that advanced strategies don't necessarily work. So you'll have a case where your knights and defenders will run after one enemy, while they'll ignore a group that just walks right around them to kill all your ranged characters from behind. And this can be a bit frustrating. There's no real way to get around it in a game like this. While this one is certainly not going to be for me, if you are a fan of auto battlers and looking for a new one to check out, I would at least give this demo a try. We now go to Starfire. This is a high-octane action roguelike, where you are going to be battling mysterious Zerg, not that kind, to try and defeat their leader, and you're going to be doing a lot of punching and dashing and so on around. Your run or your build consists of your primary weapon, which comes with kind of a special attack, and a sub-weapon. Different elemental effects can proc off of each other to create unique combos. As you level up, you'll be able to choose from randomized perks. There's all kinds of artifacts and upgrades you'll be able to find, and it hits that kind of point of just more and more spectacle and number go up. The main issue that I have with this one is the camera perspective. When you're only dealing with a few enemies at a time, it's not that bad. When you start finding enemies who can kind of overlap each other, especially with their attacks, the perspective makes it really hard to gauge kind of the distance the attack is from your character. And it's so easy to get lost in a sea of red warnings, attacks, and explosion effects. The combat does feel really solid here. And even playing on the highest difficulty, you're going to get a lot of variety of different modifiers and things that really mess with how you play around. So if you are a fan of some action roguelike game with a whole lot of spectacle to go with it, then definitely give this demo a try. We now go to the Electrifying Incident. This is a kind of mini sequel to a Monsters Expedition. Designed as more of a short form puzzle game rather than more on the longer side, it is your job to figure out why a reactor in a factory has gone haywire, and you're going to use your grapple hook and a lot of boxes in order to solve the mystery. So the main puzzle dynamic here is you have this grapple arm. When you launch it out, it will go as many tiles as it takes to interact with a box. You can then push and pull that box. You can also manipulate the wire itself to make it like go into like an L shape or turn it at 90 degrees. And your mission, of course, is to figure out how to move around the facility, and you'll also run into situations where you'll need kind of puzzle pieces or boxes from previous puzzles in order to move this progress along to somewhere else. Now, from our demo, this looks like, and even from the store page, that this is not going to be an overly long game. The store page says it's going to be about 60 to 90 minutes worth of puzzles. I'm assuming that's if you know what you're doing. So this one, I would say, is very solid. Again, this is not going to be your next 80 to 100 hour long puzzle mystery. But if you enjoy the puzzle logic in the demo, then it can definitely be something worth an afternoon or two in order to solve. Now if you do want that very lengthy game, our next one will probably fit that with Faun Town. This is basically Stardew Valley Factorio or Factorio Stardew Valley. I'll let you decide. You have crash land on a mysterious island, you've lost your memory. In order to get it back and figure out what you're doing here, you must use the powers of friendship, automation, and farming in order to do so. The game itself begins like a lot of the kind of automation slice of lifestyle games. You'll have to gather resources, start crafting basic materials, make sure your hunger and your energy are high, and keep doing things along those lines. But very quickly, or quickly in relative terms, you'll be able to unlock your spaceship, which will provide you with new technology and challenges, as well as the most important power of all, robotic automation workers. Similar to that of Novalands, you'll be able to build kind of robot communication centers, which you can assign a robot to each one, and then they'll do a task of whatever you see fit. This includes gathering all those annoying basic resources, saving you a lot of time to do other things. So the overall progress, besides completing quests and dealing with the various townspeople, is to rebuild your ship, which will earn you new kind of energy crystals, which can be used to unlock more stuff. More stuff means more automation, more goods, and you get the picture. There's also this kind of light combat system where you'll grow mutant plants in order to fight off enemies. Now, I didn't get a chance to spend like a whole lot on this demo to see just how far this rabbit hole goes, but this is a very, I think, enjoyable game. If you're looking for something that's kind of in between a Stardew Valley and a Factorio. So if you want like a Stardew Valley style game but with a little bit more in terms of automation, or a Factorio that is not as complicated or, involving to play, then I would definitely recommend you check out this demo and see if it works for you. And for our last game, we go to Tower Wizard, not to be confused with Wizard Tower. This is another in the short form incremental idle style game. You play a wizard who's just found an orb to ponder, and using said orb you will grow a mighty tower and start crafting spells, getting lots and lots of resources, and of course prestiging to do it all over again. So each time you kind of ascend your tower, you unlock a new function, something else that will kind of feed into everything that you've already built. Upgrades between your various tower segments can be used to quickly gain more speed in each one. There is the prestige element where you'll reset, of course, which will allow you to gather resources or get permanent upgrades. All in all, this is going to be once again another very solid incremental style game. Now, with the short form in the title or in the tag here, I don't know how short form this is. I spent about like 30-35 minutes on the demo on my own and got pretty much like a second prestige or stuff like that. But as an idle fan, it definitely gets my thumbs up of approval. So if you're into incrementing, pondering orbs and magic, then I would give this one a try. And with that, part number 6 is done, but we are still have plenty more demos to get to. Let me know what you think about these down below, and I will see everyone for day number 7. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.